Hello again, and welcome back to RPG Quest, the podcast where we do not play D&D. And this week we are continuing our path towards insanity as we play Call of Cthulhu. My name is Chris. I am your host and keeper, and I am joined for this little adventure by Detective Jack Cassidy, a.k.a. Panda, a.k.a. Brendan. Hello.
What's up, man?
Yeah, feeling good. Ready to, I don't know, hopefully watch you go insane. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's maybe not ideal, but eventually going to happen.
It's, yeah, inevitable. So, I guess where we last left off, it's a rainy Monday morning in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. It's late February. Outside, well, Jack Cassidy is sitting in his car outside the residence of one Dennis Bouchard, one of the members of the most honourable Krewe of Swords, a group involved in this year's upcoming Mardi Gras organisation. Part of the parade, the float. You just managed to nab an invitation to the very exclusive masquerade ball being held by one Randall Fowler, another member of the Krewe of Swords. As you're, investigating these people in relation to the mysterious death of newspaper reporter Peter Gavin, who fell to his death. The police say suicide. His colleague suspects murder. So, after speaking with Dennis Bouchard and realizing that he, ostensibly doesn't seem to be involved in this murder, doesn't seem to know much about these mysterious, spooky yellow signs. What is Jack Cassidy planning to do next?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and with all the disguises I've been using, certainly it's not a good idea to go talk to Fowler before the party. One, because he, if Screech is around, he thinks I'm a different person. And two, I'd have to keep up the Avery Act probably before the party. So I feel like his choices are either to try to see if he can get in with, Chet Creighton, or I'm sure he's pretty curious about this book at this point. And he's thinking, heard a little bit about a cult some years back, keep hearing about this honorable Krewe of Swords. Maybe it's time to find out what I can about this cult and its history and take a look at that book. Obviously somewhere safe, as advised.
Oh, finding out about the events of the past.
Yeah.
20 years ago. Of course.
Yeah, and to do that, I'm not sure, probably a library is not a place to go for that. Maybe he could check back in with the newspaper man, kind of update him on how things are going and see if he could learn anything, although he's quite busy, so I don't know. We'll see.
Give me an intelligence roll as well. See if you have any other ideas that may spring to mind.
Ooh, okay. Oh yeah, 39 versus 70, that's a success. Good way to start the session.
Beautiful. You could look at this play, have a look at this book. In terms of finding out about this event that happened 20 years ago, another thing that springs to mind would possibly, even given your background, could be going to the police, the New Orleans police, trying to look through the files, maybe even speaking to some of the investigators involved. It's 20 years ago, if they're still around.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I as a player didn't even consider it because I'm like, I'm like a shamed cop. But they wouldn't know that. That was very far away. So, yeah, I think that's definitely a good way to go.
Cool, yeah. You could head down to New Orleans police if you're so inclined, or what do you plan to do?
Yeah, all right. I think if he's going to go, talk to some cops, Jack would take a minute to go back to the office, probably change into the better of his two suits, make sure he has his old badge on him, get presentable, like for real this time, less frumpy, maybe even shave, and then go head off to the police station.
Yeah, beautiful. So yeah, you head to the head to the police headquarters near the French Quarter. You head in, and there is a front desk. There's a uniformed officer, a young man, sitting there behind the front desk, going through some files as you walk in, and he kind of just looks up to see what you're up to.
Yeah, I mean, Jack's probably trying to stand up, as straight as he can, full soldier style, squared off shoulders. And we'll smile down at him, but, just barely. Say, good morning, officer.
Good morning.
My name is private investigator Jackson Cassidy, formerly of the Chicago Police Department. I am retired from the police force itself, but I'm currently looking through an investigation, and it seems to have some ties to something that might have happened some years back. I was hoping I could maybe talk to some of your boys or look at some of those old files and see if there's any way we could work together.
He says,
You could point me in the right direction. That'd be much appreciated, sir.
I said, yes, no, that probably shouldn't be a problem if you want some old files. Do you know the case?
Unfortunately, I don't know the name of the case you might have filed it under. It has something to do with, some event that happened 20 years ago involving a cult down here in the French Quarter.
In the swamps?
Possibly. I will say, as a player, I can't remember what the exact tragedy was.
You would remember that you only heard it from Vargas, who said it was something to do with communities in the swamps 20 years ago. Yeah.
Right.
And he says, oh, yeah, the swamps. Everyone knows about that. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll, 1 second. And he gets up from his desk. And then a few moments later, he and another, this time plainclothed detective walk out, not from behind the desk, but walk out through a door into the main hallway where you are. And the detective walks up to you and he says, Detective Fillmore, how can I help you? And he extends a hand.
Yeah, vigorously shake his hand. Private investigator, Jackson Cassidy. I was just hoping that I'm new to town and I'm investigating a small matter, private matter. I was hoping that you guys could help fill me in a little bit or let me look over some files about some dealings with the cult in the swamp 20 years ago. My client's pretty concerned about it somehow being connected.
Oh, yeah, the swamps. Look, that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I can get you some files from that. Just wait with me. I'll get you some paperwork. He says, actually, and he looks to the other police officer, and he says, Milat, can you go get those files? And he nods and rushes off, and he says, can I get you coffee or something?
Oh, that'd be absolutely wonderful.
All right, wait right here. And he comes back a moment later with a little cup of coffee. He passes to you. He says, oh, interesting that this has come up again. We haven't heard of it. Can I ask what it's about?
Oh, it's just some small matter. You know how things go. I mean, it's been a while now. I used to follow real cases, good detectives like you, in my time, but retired from Chicago. It's pretty nasty up there these days. And now, most of the time, I'm looking after, trying to track down men running around with their old woman. I have a client right now who thinks they've been seeing things, and it's involved with this cult. They think there's some kind of grand conspiracy. I'm just hoping if I can learn a little bit more about this, I can steer them in the right direction, show them that, there's not some evil magic cult.
Huh, well, from what I hear, they're pretty evil. Although, it was before my time. Fortunately, anyone who worked on that case is no longer with us here in the force.
Did they retire?
Yeah. It was 2007. It's a while ago now. Let me think. What was this detective's name? Well, the main one in charge was LaGrasse. Inspector John Raymond LaGrasse. He might be around here somewhere. Otherwise, you've got Sergeant Swanson. I believe he lives just across the Mississippi. Algiers. Not a particularly nice neighborhood, but I think he's still around.
All right. Well, I mean, you have been more than helpful, sir. And thank you for your service. I'll just look over those files. But before I do, I mean, is there anything that off the top of your mind you could kind of toss to me again? I'm not a local, although I do enjoy this city, I will say.
About the case specifically, you mean?
Oh, the case, or the kind of things people talk about. You know, just it's the old wives' tales that get thrown around. You never know.
Well, it was such a long time ago. But from what I remember, back in '07, well, there were a bunch of missing women and children disappeared from the swamp communities in the south. And after that, LaGrasse, about 20 men went into those swamps to investigate. And so they say they found nearly 100 degenerate cultists. This is kind of gruesome if you don't want me to go on.
No, I mean, I don't have a soft stomach.
Well, there were, so they say, dancing naked around scaffolds, holding the mutilated bodies of these missing women and children.
Good Lord.
LaGrasse and his men burst into the scene, killed a bunch of them, captured the others. A few locals, but well, the story goes they were mostly seamen, institutionalized, criminally insane. A couple of them were hanged. Yeah, gruesome stuff. And at that point, the uniformed officer comes out with this moldy box that he brings out and sort of puts down in front of you. Yep, everything's here.
Yeah, wow. I mean, Jack's probably taken aback by that. He was expecting bad, but not that. Kind of takes a minute. That is, yeah, that's a hell of a thing. I mean, I'll look through these files and I'm sure it's in there, but anybody ever get any sense out of any of them why they would do it? Were they all just insane? Women and children, good Lord.
So, well, I'm not a psychologist, but you have to be pretty insane to do something like that.
Yeah, and sick. Before I go to look through the box and everything, I turn to the detective and say to him, "You got a card? Could be that. I mean, you seem quite competent at your job, and you've been more than helpful. Could be I need to lean on you at some point, or hey, if I do actually find some sense of this, we might need some real police. It's not like I can do any arresting these days."
Says, "Oh, yeah, one second." And he sort of begins looking through his coat, and then sort of looks over at the uniformed officer who rushes off and rushes back, and yeah, then he passes you a card. It's Noah Fillmore, and it's police. It's got the address. It's got a number.
Jack taps it and smiles at him. "Thank you. I'll absolutely be in contact if I need any real police work. Just one thing though, just one more thing. If you'll bear with me. Like I said, I'm new to town, and I keep hearing about some organization, something to do, maybe even with this cult. I don't know, but Honorable Krewe of Swords. You ever heard about them? Know anything about them?"
Oh, and he kind of stops sipping his coffee for a second. It says, yeah? Why?
Oh, well, like I said, I've just trying to follow this case up, and again, my employer, I guess, they've got all sorts of ideas about this cult some 20 years ago, and they keep mentioning this Honorable Krewe of Swords being involved somehow in some kind of strange arcane mess. It's hard to make heads or tail of. Hence needing to do some research here. I'm 2 days from committing to myself. These things, I know I must sound crazy, and I apologize for that. I'm just trying to follow my leads.
Right. No, well, he sort of looks at you, and he looks back at the other officer, and he says, "That's fine, Merlot." And he looks back and he says, "Well, me and another detective were looking into him, actually. More of a fishing expedition than anything. Although it's due to be terminated shortly. No new evidence."
Well, I guess if there's no evidence, there's not much you can do, but why look into him?
Well, See, the coroner's claim, I don't know if you know the details of this Peter Gavin newspaper man. He fell to his death, and the coroner's claim is that he fell from a much higher fall than the nearest university building, despite the fact evidence clearly shows he died where he was found, and no one really has a theory as to why this conflicts. I mean, it's Mardi Gras, right? Everything has changed right now.
Well, it does seem to be true, but I mean, in my experience, and it's been some time, of course, but my experience, coroner's usually right.
Again, I don't really know what to say, pal.
Well, I'm sure you're doing the best work you can, and I'm sorry your investigation is not leading to the fruit you were hoping for. But how about this? Look, if there is anything that I can help you with, I'd love to, return the favor. I don't know too much. As I said, I'm not a local, but...
Give me a law roll, please.
Oh, shit. Yep. 10 versus 5. That's a fail. It's like the worst ex-cop with a 5 law.
He just smiles and says, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, it's strange, but we didn't find anything on these guys, so I guess we just have to chalk it up to one of those, what do they call them? Urban legends? Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, does happen. Does happen on occasion. Well, like I said, I'm sure you're doing great work, and I won't keep you too much longer. I'm just going to look through these files. Again, if I come across anything or think of anything, I'll let you know. And like I said earlier, if I find myself in a situation where I need some actual police to show up, I will give you a call.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, Jack will tip his cap to him and take the box and head off to whatever room he's allowed to sit in and read.
Yeah. They've cleared like a little office space for you to sort of pull everything out and begin looking. As you sit down and open this moldy box, dust kind of falls out everywhere. It's just full of like stacks of paper. Give me a library use roll.
Oh, okay. That's a new one. All right. Oof. 54 versus 20, failure.
Yeah, no problem. You begin sort of pulling out the papers and just trying to figure out which order they're meant to go in. There's stuff that's fallen out. It's all kind of loose. You begin laying it out on the table. But something distracts you from that, because in the bottom of this box is a photograph. It is a little idol, and it looks kind of like a head with an octopus face.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, full circle to the antique shop. Does it look like the same one from the antique shop, or just like the same likeness?
It's hard to tell from the photograph, but it does. I mean, it looks like the same one, yeah. It would make sense to you that these things kind of end up in like police auctions and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously not going to take anything out of this evidence. I'm not sure how legal this would be at the time, or it would, definitely not now, but would they get upset if I took a photo of some of these papers and that photo on the desk?
They might, but they probably wouldn't know.
All right. Okay. I guess just roll with it, not so much ask, is that legal? Yeah, I mean, Jack will do that.
Yeah. You take a photo of this, take a photo of the photo of this idol.
Of the idol.
It's dated and says it was put into evidence. The rest of the files have statements of the swamp folks from the initial cases as they pled with the police. There is, some names and statements from prisoners and officers involved in the raids as well. As you sort of look through, the cultists who did talk in these statements talk about worshipping devils, ancient devils that lived in the swamp. The cult, they say, is worldwide and incredibly old. The statements about this, they found this half octopus statue, and then there are, the statements as you're sort of reading through from the police are going to describe the raid. There were 20 men that took part in it. What it says in there is basically what the other detective told you.
Yeah, like a slightly more detailed rundown.
Yeah. It doesn't mention anything, seeing anything supernatural or anything like that. And then there are the names of, the officers on the force. The two of them that stand out to you, of course, that were mentioned were LaGrasse, who's retired, and Sergeant Swanson, who's also retired. Roll me a D6, please.
Okay. Well, that's a 1.
You're in here for about an hour before you're like, okay, this is probably all the info that I'm going to get.
Okay.
From these files.
Before he packs everything up, I think while he was looking through everything, he particularly would have been looking for like 3 things, trying to piece things together, and we would just like scan one last time to see if like anybody had sketched the symbol he keeps seeing, or there's like a description of somebody who sounds like or looks like Papa Screech, and I'm going to get this wrong because I keep forgetting the name, but Carcosa, the city that was...
Carcosa?
Yeah, Carcosa. If there's any mention of that, like that city or that name.
No, as you're looking through, there's nothing about the symbol, there's nothing about a yellow king, there's nothing about Carcosa. No one named Screech seems to be in there. The only thing that you sort of glean, the cultists refer to this half octopus, half dragon thing as sort of identified in one of the statements as their chief god, the great Cthulhu or Thulhu.
Yeah, I mean, Jack will make a note and be like, "That's a strange name." Yeah, but probably not take too much stock in it. I think he's starting to come around on like there are maybe things we can't explain, but he's certainly still not at a point where he believes really any of this.
Of course, yeah. But then you get a bit of detail about Sergeant Swanson, including his current address, which is in Algiers, just across the river there, the Mississippi.
Yeah, I guess packs everything up in the box, brings it to what was his name, Malat?
Yes,
and thanks him for I really appreciate you boys letting me have a look. I didn't find much, but hopefully what I have will help me in this case. I might go and visit former Detective Swanson. I mean, would that be appropriate? I mean, would he be amenable to that, or you think better to leave him alone? Assuming that they know each other,
Malot, this is the young uniformed police officer.
Yeah,
he says he sort of shakes his head and says, "Before my time, I don't see why it wouldn't be."
Yeah, Jack slaps the desk with a smile. He's like, "Well, I guess I'll just have to give it a shot. Again, thank you for your time and your resources."
It's no problem.
Yeah, I think he grins at him. He's like, "Keep doing good work. You'll be detective one day," and heads out.
Cool. Yeah, are you going to head to this address of this Sergeant Swanson?
Yeah. I think he's starting to get to the point where he's real itchy to see what's up with that book. But before, yeah, let's go see Swanson before he does. So I'm real concerned the minute he opens that book, I go insane.
Yeah, feeling a little apprehensive about it. No problem. Yeah, so you drive across south, across the Mississippi into Algiers. As you get there, yeah, this is like one of the poorest neighborhoods in New Orleans. There's trash blowing through the grimy streets. Gangs of youths sneering sort of as you drive through. And then you come to what appears to be a crumbling, overgrown brick monstrosity, this tenement. And yeah, it just exudes an aura of despair and defeat. It's quite sad.
Yeah, I think Jack is probably more comfortable here than he'd like to admit, kind of looking around like, well, this is probably where I should be. Lucky I have a friend who got me a job. He's going to hold out his notebook in front of him, almost as if he's like a newspaper man. He's not going to use a disguise, but try to be very forthright as he gets out the car and walks up the steps and knocks on the door.
Yeah, of course. It's only after some quite persistent knocking that you hear a voice on the other side, like, "Jesus Christ." And then the door opens and you see this man, probably in his early 60s, about 6 feet tall, unshaven, considerable paunch. His face is like heavily veined. He's got like the alcoholic's nose. He sort of opens up the door and looks at you and just says, "Yeah."
Sorry to bother you, sir.
So why did you?
Well, I ask myself that every day. Detective Swanson? It just like smiles at him.
Used to be Detective Swanson.
Yeah, well, we've got that in common. I used to be Detective Cassidy. Now I'm Investigator Cassidy. Look, I ain't gonna lie to you. I got some questions to ask you. I hope that you're willing to sit down and talk to me a little bit about, maybe your most harrowing case. Might be hard to go through, but pulls out his flask from his coat. Takes a drink and hands it over to him. But if you got the time.
Yeah, seeing that, he like snatches it from you. And then opens the door and walks in. It's just, don't know what I can tell you. As he begins to clear some space in this rundown, awful apartment. Pulls out a chair for you. And does the same for himself.
Yeah, sit down, pull out, I think Jack like rolls his own cigarettes, pulls out his like pack of tobacco, rolls a couple cigarettes, passes him one. Gestures at the flask so he could take another drink himself, and then hands it back. And he's like, look, I can only imagine from what I just left the precinct, I just read the files, I can only imagine this is probably one of the worst days of your life, what you saw. And that sticks with a man. But I'm concerned on my own investigation I got going on that cult, they're coming back. Or something about them is still around. And I need to know whatever it is you know, whatever you heard, whatever you saw, because things could get bad around Mardi Gras, if I'm right.
Give me I'm going to say a persuade for this one.
Oh, that's a 12-10 push. I'm going to use luck on that one. It's close enough.
Yeah. Spend 2 points of luck. Yeah.
All right, I've dropped my luck. I'm down to 31.
And he says, well, I mean, since you read the files, you pretty much know everything there is to know, huh? Hey, smart detective like you.
I very much doubt that. He just kind of looks at him. There's a big difference between standing somewhere and reading about it, ain't there?
Do you believe in monsters?
Oh, sure. I've dealt with plenty in my time.
No.
I mean,
real monsters. Kinds that haunt your dreams.
Yeah, he, like, swallows hard. Kind of looks at him. Think I'm starting to.
Yeah, well, we did see something. Something that didn't make it into those statements. Me and Galvez. As we were there, out on the lake. A hideous shape. Gigantic. And white. I only got a glimpse of it, but it's haunted my dreams ever since. There's something out there. Things out there that we can't explain. I bet you think I'm crazy.
Oh, well, I'd like to, but I don't, if I'm being honest. Last couple days, I've encountered a few things that are hard to explain. Did it look like this? I mean, I don't think he's been able to develop his photo yet, so maybe he, like, made a sketch the first time he saw the...
Oh, yeah, no. He sort of looks at it and says, No, this was something else. Something much bigger.
Well, listen, I've been seeing this symbol all over the place. I mean, that's my investigation. It has to do with that. A young man, reporter, started following up on this group called the Honorable Krewe Swords, looking into them, and he found something to do with a cult. Something to do with this cult that you investigated all those years ago. It seems like. See the symbol everywhere. Show him the symbol. At one point I was looking at it, and I mean, it reached out to me. Listen, not a lot of things have scared me. I've seen war. That scared me. this was something different. So no, I don't think you're crazy. But, I mean, what are we dealing with? What are we looking at? Where's the sense in this?
Sense? You want sense? Sense ain't gonna get you nowhere, boy. Unless you got the sense to not head out to those swamps. Listen, I don't know nothing about this sign, but let me tell you, if you are dealing with something like this cold again, don't make the same mistakes we did.
And what was that?
1, we should have had more men. 2, we should have had more guns. And 3, he takes a swig. We should never have taken any of those bastards alive. Now listen, I do appreciate the visit, but I got nothing else to add.
Well, thank you for your time and thank you for relieving this. Yeah. I'm sure you got a lot to deal with. Here, scratches down his number. I should have business cards. I'm just giving everybody my phone number. Scratches down his number. Pass it across to him. He's like, look, I'm looking into, like I said, this honorable crew of swords. I'm looking into this symbol, something called the Yellow King. And I'll take your advice. If you think of anything else, might be able to save some lives or stop something from happening, you let me know, all right?
I will do.
Well, you have yourself a fine day. And try to rest.
Yeah.
Yep, head out. Like, there's so much that, like, kind of love to, like, look around his place and, like, see how far deep he's gone. But the guy's obviously cracked. Not gonna push my luck with him. I don't think he's done anything wrong. He's just seen too much. So yeah, just head out. Get back to the car and make some notes. Maybe it's time to finally look at that book.
Yeah.
Somewhere safe.
I assume maybe heading back to the apartment.
Yeah, I think he goes back to the apartment, unlocks the desk, pulls out that symbol, gets all his notes together, and pulls out the book, starts to unwrap it.
Yeah, you begin to peel away the paper that's the strings in the paper that's binding this book. And as you do, as you begin to peel it back, you see rich black leather, and then at the front, kind of stamped, embossed in yellow, this symbol. Give me a sanity roll, please.
Yeah. Oof. 1248. Hard success. Luck.
Nice. You sort of take a deep breath as you look at this symbol, and you kind of feel like you begin to see it squirming again, but you blink hard and it stops.
Yeah, I think getting over that first hump, gulps. Again, like, takes a minute to stare at the symbol and make sure it's the same. Like, it obviously is, but as he's just, like, blinked to try to brush away, that slightly haunting image, it'll take a minute to, like, verify this is real, and then open the book and start skimming.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Roll me a d4.
Okay. That's 2.
2. So you're going to lose 2 points of sanity. It just seeing this book.
All right.
And as you go to open it, it's quite a few pages. It's going to take you like some hours to read the whole thing. The title page lists no date, no author, no publisher, and there are no page numbers either.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. As he starts flipping through it.
Do you begin to read this thing?
Not sure how to do this. Like, I almost think he's starting to buy into, like, some of this strange fate stuff or whatever, mystic things. So he's, I don't know, like, with the book open, maybe hold out the symbol over it as it's whatever, an eye, and just, like, randomly flip pages and see if he's drawn to something.
Not at first, no. As you begin to flip through the book, you see it has, first all the dramatis personae, the main character, the Queen. There are some princes, some princesses, advisors, servants, the priest. It appears to be about a royal family. And as you continue flipping through, you see that the play is told in 3 acts. The play itself seems strange, almost contradictory in parts. It's set in a decadent city called Itil or Whitel, which is not on Earth. It's an alien city. The first act involves the Queen, who isn't given a name, and her 4 sons and 2 daughters, who spend most of the first act worrying about the succession to the throne. The worry is over this ancient legend that warns that in some point in the future, Whitel will name a new king, the last king, who will usher in the destruction of the city and its entire people. And in that act, you're drawn to this poem. It's a song sung by Princess Casilda, one of the youngest daughters. It goes, "Along the shore the cloud waves break, the twin suns sink behind the lake, the shadows lengthen in Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise, and strange moons circle through the skies, but stranger still is lost Carcosa. Songs that the Hyades will sing, where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die though unsung as tears unshed, shall dry and die in lost Carcosa." The act then continues with the introduction of a pair of evil noblemen who conspire to avoid the destruction of Whitel by poisoning the entire royal family and instead establishing a parliamentary form of government. And at the end of the first act, the royal family hears that a stranger has arrived in Whitel, born by winged demons. The stranger wears a pallid mask and bears the yellow sign, which has been forbidden in the city for centuries. And you flip to the second act, which begins with visions of an illusory ghost city on the far shores of the Lake of Harley, which is across from Whitel. The royal family and their priest summon and haughtily question the stranger, who calls himself the Phantom of Truth. The masked being offers vague declarations and confusing allegories, but few coherent answers. He claims to be an emissary of the dreaded King in Yellow, or the Last King. And later, at this masked ball honouring the royal family, everyone unmasks, except for the stranger, who reveals that his pallid mask is no mask at all. And the second act ends with the royals ordering the imprisonment and torture of the Phantom. And there's a third act. Do you continue reading?
Yeah, I mean, I think just that big mention of like, a masked ball, and like the stranger and the symbol. Yeah. I think he would be too engrossed not to keep reading.
So the third act sees various members of the royal family questioning the Phantom as he's being tortured, but again eliciting only more confusing answers and ominous warnings of the coming of his master. The Phantom appears to die, but as the torturer goes to dispose of the body, he discovers that it is in fact his apprentice's corpse instead. And now the escaped Phantom of Truth moves through the palace, exacting vengeance on various minor characters before joining the royal family on the shores of Lake Harley. And now is when the King in Yellow arrives from across the lake. Those not driven mad with fear notice that the dead city across the lake is no longer there. The hoary, tattered king declares that only one city now exists on the shores of Harley, and that Whitel will henceforth be known as Carcosa. The play ends with the king having settled the problem of succession, and with the main cast now fearfully awaiting their imminent demise.
Yeah. I mean, with that again, he's like, that's why he was yelling about Carcosa. All right. And I assume the description of the mask symbol is, what's on the cover of the book and the one we keep seeing. Yeah, I think Jack closes the book, and almost laughs to himself and has a drink where he had been acting so paranoid about this and even holding up the symbol and again, has a drink and kind of laughs. Yeah, a book that drives you insane. I should have known it was all bullshit.
Give me a sanity roll.
Yeah. There it is. 58 versus 46 fail.
Oh no. Roll me 1d6 and then add 1 to it.
All right. That's a 2, so a 3.
Okay. So you're a little shaken as you lose 3 points of sanity. But you're, you weren't driven insane by reading it, so, it's fine. It's just a more sort of sadistic and esoteric version of, Macbeth or Titus Andronicus,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some gruesome details of how the Phantom sort of goes around the mansion and deals out this punishment throughout the final act. You can sort of, understand why this was banned at the time just for being gruesome, and why there were sort of tales around it. The torturer, after seeing his apprentice, realizing that he was torturing his apprentice, hangs himself.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's even a scene where the spectral Phantom hoists him through the floors and the walls of the palace and sort of entombs him alive with the spirits of those that he has tortured. It's all very dark.
Oh, man. I mean, after spending so much time kind of reading through this and absorbing it, and certainly by the end, just being fully engrossed, what time would you say it is? Is it late in the night or evening?
It was sort of 2 hours that you spent skimming through this. So I'm going to say it's currently about 2 p.m.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it didn't take him the whole day to skim through files and then this good stuff. All right, 2 p.m. Yeah. Jack's going to make some notes about how that mask looks in particular. And then...
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Yeah, this is a point where, as a player, I'm kind of split on how I think he's going to start carrying forward. Because especially learning more and more about the cult from the past, I think that Jack's starting to be less concerned about actually solving anything to do with this reporter who died, and now would want to go about and destroy all the yellow symbols he can. But at the same time, the other half of him is obviously, the only thing he really cares about is that, this is a case. So, yeah. Maybe he'll just split the difference and try to find a Mardi Gras mask shop and see if he can get them to make this mask.
Okay, yeah. This white Phantom mask.
I'm sure that'll turn some heads at the masquerade ball.
Yeah, sounds good. So yeah, you close up this book and, I don't know, I guess put it away somewhere safe?
Yeah, I think, even though he knows better than this at this point from the stuff he's been hearing, I think he's going to keep the necklace, the symbol, on him now. And he's going to, keep the book. Maybe he pulls up a floorboard or something and hides it.
Yeah, no problem. And so the plan is to just sort of head down to, I guess, the main streets and find one of these masquerade shops?
Yeah, yeah, I think before he does anything else, he's going to do that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you tuck this book away and I guess get out of the apartment into the dreary day sun and hop in the car and drive down to Bourbon Street and try and find a more bespoke style party shop. Yeah, as you get out of the car and begin kind of walking down the street, looking around, trying to find a place, you see hanging from the side of one of these buildings now as some sort of Mardi Gras decorations are up. There's paintings, there's placards, there's, decorations. Amongst them all, flapping gently in the wind is, a black flag with this yellow sign on it being put up as part of the decorations. A little high up on the building.
Yeah, I mean, he'll, I guess take note of that and go into the mask shop.
Yeah, you walk into this sort of quirky little shop. You're not sure sort of how, authentic, the decorations and stuff are. They seem to be pretty, there's like a sort of a souvenir shop and there's some masquerade masks and, costumes and all that kind of stuff. And you see a man behind the counter, seems to be reading something, and he looks up at you. He says, "Oh, good afternoon."
Good afternoon. This is a pretty nice shop you've got here. I was hoping, maybe I could get something made. I've been invited to a masquerade party. I don't think I've ever been to one of those before. I figure I, should probably, dress the part. What kind of masks usually wear to these kind? I've got an idea, but this is my first Mardi Gras. Plays it up.
First time in New Orleans, huh?
Yeah, I always wanted to come, but first time I've been.
Well, you're in for a treat. I mean, we've got plenty of masks if you want to pick something up, but you're after something a little more tailor-made, are you?
I mean, yeah, possibly. I really want to make an impression, I was reading about this crazy old play that I was reading, and I think my host is a big fan of it, so this mask was described in it, and I was wondering if you got something like this, or if you make me something like this, and we'll, give him the description.
Yeah, I mean, give me a luck roll.
Okay. 34 versus 1 to fail. I'm gonna keep burning my luck. Why not? This is such a minor thing to do it.
You can't spend...
Oh, I can't use luck on luck. Ah, yeah, right.
No, unfortunately. He pulls out a tray, a bunch of masks and some shelves. He points in the direction of them. Nothing that really jumps out at you that fits this description perfectly. A few things that are like, oh, maybe, but they're not quite right. He says, well, I mean, yeah, you seem to be a man who knows what he wants. If you got enough time between now and that party, I can make something for you.
What would you charge for something like that?
He sort of looks at your sketches, and he sort of looks at your head, and he's like, something like that, about $10.
$10? And you could have it ready by, I guess, Mardi Gras night?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Got a few orders, but we should have enough time to make something.
Well, I can't tell you how pleased I am. I'm really excited. Like I said, like you said, first Mardi Gras. I will happily commission you to do that work.
Yeah, well, love the business, and you won't be disappointed. And he sort of, goes to take down all your details and sort of measure up your, your head and your skull.
While he does, I'll I guess make a point of holding out that symbol on the necklace and be like, "You ever seen anything like this before? I keep seeing it around. I was given this. I was told it would bring me luck." And continue to play like the dumb tourist.
He says, I must confess I'm not really much of a voodoo expert. But if you want to find information about something like that, you want to head towards the more, voodoo part of town. Trem. It's a mostly black neighborhood west of the French Quarter.
Trem. All right. You know anybody in particular? You point me in any directions? Somebody who might be maybe a bit of an expert? Again, I'm new here. I don't know too much.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of places around there. You probably want to head down to something like Urzul's.
Oh, right. Well, I just might do that. Yeah, it might be good to know what it is that's bringing me luck. Appreciate the recommendation.
Not at all.
And I'll be back for that mask. How does this work? Do I pay up front or half down? Or
he says, "Oh yeah, and half down."
All right, I pull out $5.
Says, "Thank you very much. Listen, we'll probably have it done the day before if you want to come in, just in case we need to make any more adjustments."
Oh, absolutely, I'll do that.
Great. We'll. He looks down at the paperwork and he says, "Well, I'll see you then, Mr. Cassidy."
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. You have yourself a fine day.
You too.
walk outside, light a cigarette, exhausted from the strain of being perky. And head down to, I guess, Trem, to Azul's.
Yeah. As you sort of move like west from the French Quarter, you get to, I guess, what can only be described as a voodoo community. As you move, like, obviously, like, there's plenty of black people in New Orleans, but the demographics kind of change, and you maybe get a few sort of suspicious looks, as this is clearly pretty much an all-black neighborhood. You don't see many white people here, so you're kind of viewed with a little bit of suspicion as you're kind of wandering through, looking for this shop. And you actually see that there's sort of many voodoo shops and practitioners around here. But yeah, you see one with a little sign that says Azul's.
Yeah, pull up front, get out the car. Again, I don't think he would feel any need to try to like overly do a disguise or any kind of lies with this. He's just gonna walk in, probably leave his camera in the car, and go inside.
Yeah, of course. So you head into this quaint little shop. The walls and the ceilings are just littered with all kinds of things. Figurines, tribal masks, all kinds of strange stuff hanging from the walls. Hanging from the ceiling as well. It's all it's sort of packed in, and you're immediately hit with all these senses. You can hear some people kind of playing music outside on the streets even as you walk in. Give me a spot hidden actually before you walk into the shop.
45 versus 50. That's a success.
Yeah. As you sort of walk past this small ash tree that's kind of like juts out, over the street from like this alleyway in between the buildings that you're heading into, you notice that there are like dozens of symbols carved into the trunk of the tree. But yeah, there's then you see the dusty storefront window that reads Azul's, and yeah, you head in.
Yeah, I mean, probably the symbols in the tree sets him off for a second. He might be a little bit uncomfortable, as in like he's starting to believe that there's some supernatural stuff, and this place probably has some. But yeah, he'll head into the shop, start looking around.
Yeah. As you head into the shop, you're immediately struck with all kinds of scents. You see these artifacts, items, ingredients up on the walls and shelves. They all look strange and unusual to you. And the woman behind the counter, this young and very attractive black woman, she tilts her head and looks at you, a little confused, and says, "You look a little out of place."
You're not wrong. I need some guidance, and I was recommended that this might be the place to get that. But you're right, I am out of place. I don't know anything about, and like gestures around at all the stuff on the walls. Voodoo, but apologies if I have mispronounced that. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, if you can't tell, and like plays that up a little bit.
She kind of smirks at you. Give me an appearance roll.
All right. Oh, that's a 20 versus 40. Apparently he's looking good today. It's a hard success.
Yeah, and her smile widens as she looks at you, and she says, "That's okay. You might not know much about voodoo, but I'm sure you know what brought you here. Why don't you tell me that?"
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, may as well cut to it. He will like take off the small necklace and put it on the counter and say, "Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am a private investigator, and I've been in the middle of a small investigation regarding a newspaperman who had quite a strange death, and at every turn, I keep running into this symbol. I mean, it seems tied up in all sorts of things, and I was told it brings me luck, but I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't know who to even talk to. At one point, I talked to the man who made this symbol. I think his name's Papa Screech.
And upon seeing the symbol, she immediately takes a step back and throws her hands up and says, no, that's not voodoo. That's something else entirely. Please, put that away. Please. And give me a psychology roll.
That's 67 versus 55. That's a failure. I mean, he will snatch it up immediately and put it away with her being scared, but...
And she says, look, I don't know nothing about it.
But I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. If it's not voodoo, what is it?
Something much darker. Something evil.
I mean, if it's evil magic, then why is it being plastered all over the city?
You said a name. Screech.
That's the man who's painting it.
I think I'm going to ask you to leave.
I understand. I didn't mean to offend you, and I just, ma'am, I'm not sure where to turn to. I really need some help here. Please, if you could just tell me something.
She sighs and says, Papa Screech is a bokor, a sorcerer. He works just not with voodoo. He borrows from all kinds of magic. The negative kind. The evil kind. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I understand, and I won't press you to, and I will leave. Thank you. It's just one last thing, and I promise I'll leave, but... Well, if this isn't going to bring me protection and luck, and this is something that can harm people... I mean, you know anything who can protect us?
And she reaches down from under the counter and pulls out this little necklace. Seems to just be like a bunch of cloth kind of folded in and wrapped in on itself. And she puts it down. She says, take this.
Thank you. Well, I'm not sure how this works, but what do I owe you for this kindness?
She just shakes her head and waves her hands.
Yeah, I mean, he'll pick it up. And again, like, give her a very circumspect nod. And again, say thank you. I'm sorry if I brought anything bad into your shop here. I will go. And again, thank you.
And she nods and gives you this almost sympathetic look as you walk out of the shop and back onto the street. And that is where we will leave this episode of RPG Quest.
Yeah, all right.
And we will be back again to continue the scenario.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Bye.
See if we can make me go insane next time.
We're getting there.